Ed Oliver, and today we're going to talk about Kyle Kuzma's 2022 season. We're going to do a quick review and what the Wizards should consider with his future, whether they should extend or look to trade Kyle Kuzma. Also, Bradley Beal's interview with Taylor Rooks. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. All right, so today I'm doing and you can follow me on Twitter at EDTOOFLATT. Today I'm doing a season review on Kyle Kuzma and giving him a grade, and then of course what his future should look like or what it could look like, the options coming in with Kyle Kuzma's future. He does have a player option after the 2023 season. So the Wizards they have some decision-making to make with Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma had a heck of a season. I'm going to come out already and just say I think he had an A+ grade for what we thought we were going to get from him in the trade with Montrezl Harrell and KCP. I thought Kyle Kuzma had a great season. He had 18 points per game. Looking at the raw numbers from Basketball Reference, he played in 66 games that had 66 starts, starting all 66 games that he played, 17 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, which was a career high. He led the team in rebounding, shot 34% from three, which is solid. It had 3.5 assists per game. Now, he did lead the Wizards in double-doubles as well this year. He was 29th in the league with double-doubles. He did have a triple-double as well this year. He led the team in free throw attempts this year as well. Bradley Beal, of course, only played 44 games this year. Kristaps Porzingis only played about 25 games this year as well. So you can take some of those numbers with a grain of salt. But Kyle Kuzma was super clutch for the Washington Wizards this year. He was second in the NBA in clutch three-pointers made behind Fred VanVleet. He made 17 clutch three-pointers this year. I remember the one against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We hit a game winner when we were 10-3. He also hit a clutch three against a game winner against the Detroit Pistons. He also made a clutch three against the Bulls, even though we ended up losing that game against the Bulls. That was a super clutch three that Kyle Kuzma made. And then DeMar DeRozan hit the crazy shot. He also had a clutch block on Joel Embiid, where we beat the Sixers in Philly. He did have a nice dunk on Joel Embiid as well. Kyle Kuzma hit clutch three after clutch three after clutch three, and that number showed that as well. Kyle Kuzma had 8 games with at least 25 points and 10 rebounds per game. I mean, he had 8 games this season with at least 25 points and 10 rebounds. He did have a game where he had 27 points and 22 rebounds in a game, and the last player to have 20 points and 20 rebounds in a game in the Washington basketball franchise history was Chris Webber. And that was about 20 years ago now. So that's a long time. So that shows how good of games that Kyle Kuzma had. He had a huge impact, huge positive impact on the Washington Wizards this year. And he had a triple-double as well. He had a game where he had 8 threes against the Brooklyn Nets. We ended up losing that game. But in that stretch, he had 2 games back-to-back of having 30 points in both of those games. So each month, Kyle Kuzma got better. He said he was 6'10". It was like a light bulb switch flipped on for Kyle Kuzma. In the beginning of the season, he was doing he had a lot of finesse shots like floaters and just shooting threes. It was just he was basically in a 3-and-D role. Then his usage went up. He decided to get to the basket and get downhill and play with more physicality and realized that he was 6'10". So you look at the month of December, he was averaging 13 points, 6 rebounds a game, and 3 assists in 12 games in December. Then you look at the month of January. He averaged 22.5 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists in 13 games in January. And then in February, he averaged 21 points, 8 rebounds, and 4.3 assists in 11 games in the month of February. So each month, he improved. In March, he averaged 18.6 rebounds and 6 assists in 9 games in March. So each month, Kyle Kuzma got better and really improved. And I thought Kyle Kuzma did a good job of being a leader, a vocal leader. You listen to him on the TNT game where we beat the Brooklyn Nets, where he was telling Rui to shoot the ball. He was telling Denny to shoot the ball. I thought he did a great job of being a leader and not getting in the way of the development of Rui and Denny. I thought he did a great job of playing with Rui and Denny. There was a stat that showed when those guys played in the lineup how good defensively they were, and their plus minus how good that was as well. Also, I thought he played really well next to Bradley Beal. They had some games where they looked really good, doing pick and pop plays and pick and roll. I thought they did a great job feeding off each other. The Chicago Bulls game, I know that was a loss, but when Bradley Beal was the point guard and Kyle Kuzma was playing that 3 and 4, he was playing the small forward and point forward position. I thought they played really well off of each other. I thought Kyle Kuzma played really well with Porzingis as well. Now, Bradley Beal in his presser during the middle of the year when he had the press conference after the trade deadline where he had the cast on his wrist, Bradley Beal did bring up of a lineup of Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis, and Daniel Gafford. And that lineup is an intriguing lineup. Now, it depends on the matchup of the other team, of course, but that lineup shows that the Wizards could impose their will on another team rather than adjusting to another team. Just thinking of a lineup of Kuz at the 3, Porzingis at the 4, and Gafford at the 5. You think of what the Cleveland Cavaliers just did, where they had a huge lineup of Lauri Markkanen at the 3, Evan Mobley at the 4, and Jarrett Allen at the 5, where they imposed their will and they played big ball, bully ball, where they have versatile bigs or versatile guys who are 6'10", 6'11", that can put the ball on the floor and shoot the 3. And then they had an energizer, rim running big, and a Daniel Gafford. So that's very intriguing to me as well. So I thought Kyle Kuzma definitely played above expectations. You look at the double-doubles, some of the raw numbers, how he was able to put the ball on the floor. He was super clutch. There were times down the stretch when Bradley Beal was hurt where it was just get out of the way and give Kyle Kuzma the basketball. So I thought Kyle Kuzma had an A+ season. Defensively, I thought he was solid. Some of the metrics and numbers show that he wasn't great defensively, but I thought the effort was definitely there, and he was very clutch for the Washington Wizards as well. So I thought Kyle Kuzma definitely played above expectations. So I do have some question marks about him moving forward. And then, of course, we're going to look at the contract situation. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Truebill. I use Truebill all the time. Truebill is the new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions, so you don't have to. Truebill has over 2 million users and helps save them over $100 million. Like Matthew B., who says, in a matter of seconds, I saved $660 for the year on my DirecTV bill, saved $120 for the year on my SiriusXM bill, saved $840 a year on car insurance. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. Go right now, Truebill.com/LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year. Also, the Ultimate Mock Draft starts June 16th with over 50 insiders. Nothing equals the Ultimate NBA Mock Draft. The Locked On NBA Big Board Draft experts plus the Odyssey insiders. First pick is June 16th. Search Ultimate NBA Mock Draft and follow now so you don't miss a pick. All right, so if it were up to me, I would love to keep Kyle Kuzma. I think he's a piece that if the Wizards are a win now mode, which is what they're pointing to with bringing back Bradley Beal, they feel that they're in a win now mode. They want to make the playoffs. I think you keep a guy like a Kyle Kuzma. I have brought up trade scenarios of Kyle Kuzma trading up to the 4th pick of the draft or possibly trading up to pick 7. Personally, I would not trade Kyle Kuzma just to move up to pick 7. I know you most likely would get Benedict Mathurin, or Dyson Daniels, but I think the only way I would really trade Kyle Kuzma is up to pick 4 because you're going to get an elite talent in Jaden Ivey. And the Kings were rumored, they weren't rumored, they had legitimate interest in Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma said that he thought he was being traded to the Sacramento Kings before in the press conference when he was traded to the Wizards. He said, I thought I was going to the Kings. And the Kings GM has been known to have a lot of interest in a Kyle Kuzma. So if they ask, hey, we're going to take pick 10 of Kyle Kuzma, we'll give you pick 4, the Wizards get Jaden Ivey, I'm all on board for that. But pick 7 from the Blazers, you're only moving up 3 spots to get maybe a Benedict Mathurin or a Dyson Daniels. I'm not in favor of that. I'd rather keep pick 10 and keep a Kyle Kuzma that can contribute now to the Wizards being successful. And Kyle Kuzma is a legitimate piece. The Wizards feel that they have a legitimate 3, not a big 3, but a solid 3 with a Bradley Beal, with a Kyle Kuzma, and with a Kristaps Porzingis. I thought Kyle Kuzma played really well with Porzingis the few games that they did play together. So I'm intrigued to see that. Now, contractually, you look at Kyle Kuzma's contract. You look it up on Spot Check. I'm going to pull it up here. But right now, he's making $13.5 million. Now, he does have a team option. I'm sorry, not a team option, but he has a player option in the year of the season after this following year. He has a player option of, he's not making 13.5, he's making $13 million, which is a very favorable contract. Now, I looked up some guys some comparables, some guys that play a similar small forward or four. I think Kyle Kuzma, he plays his best at the four. I think he has the best matchup because when he's playing against fours, if the four is somewhat of a stretch four, a big like a Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma, he's fast enough to blow by guys and get to the basket. And he's fast enough to move his feet and defend fours for the most part. Guys like Kelly Olynyk or Harrison Barnes. Now, Harrison Barnes or Danilo Gallinari, I think Kyle Kuzma is faster enough to get past a Danilo Gallinari. He's fast enough to stay in front of a Danilo Gallinari. So Danilo Gallinari right now, he's making $20 million. I feel like Kyle Kuzma's in the same tier and the same class as a player than Gallinari. I think at times he's more versatile. He can make more than a lot of these guys I'm going to name. Kyle Kuzma, like I said, he had a triple-double. He had a couple games where he had 10 assists as well. Harrison Barnes, I think Kyle Kuzma scores and rebounds the ball just as well as Harrison Barnes. I think he's a better playmaker. Harrison Barnes is making $21 million. Gary Harris is making $21 million. Tim Hardaway Jr. is making $18 million. Joe Harris from the Nets is making $18 million. Norman Powell is making $18 million. Duncan Robinson, who's a shooting guard, three-point specialist, he's making $18 million. Evan Fournier is a small forward. He's making $18 million. So I feel like Kyle Kuzma definitely will be in that range. Those are just some players that I'm naming because he has a player option in the 2023-24 season. So if the Wizards, they can, the money that they want to offer, we'll see. But are they willing to pay him an $18 million, $20 million? And I've seen a lot of people compare this contract situation to a Davis Bertans, where Davis Bertans, his contract was coming up, and the Wizards ended up paying him $16 million. Another team was willing to match that as well, and they were willing to give him $16 million. So do you want to trade Kyle Kuzma before that contract comes up and get value for Kyle Kuzma? That's the question mark right there. I think if you're the value that you're getting for Kyle Kuzma, if you're not getting the fourth pick of the draft or packaging him for an all-star that's going to upgrade the roster, I don't see a reason to trade Kyle Kuzma. I'd rather see if I can extend him and negotiate, or if we go into that contract year, if he plays like this again, where he's averaging 17, 18 points a game and averaging 8.5 rebounds a game and hitting clutch shots where he's second in the league in clutch shots, where he's leading the team in rebounds and getting 20 rebounds in a game, I think that's a guy that I'm willing to pay $20 million. Now, it is going to be tough because your Porzingis has a player option as well coming up after this season. So you do have to consider looking at Rui and Denny. What decision you're going to make there? There is a log jam at the position. I do think Rui is the best playing at that four spot. I think Denny plays his best when he's really at the four spot, to be honest. And I think Kuzma is at his best when he's playing at the four spot. So it is somewhat of a predicament there that the Wizards do have to make some tough decisions. There is a log jam. And then this draft, there's a lot of, they could pick a guy like a Jeremy Sohan. They could pick a forward, or Ochai Agbaji. That may be a reach. But if they pick him, that's another 3-4 guy that they're bringing in that could be a log jam. There's not a lot of minutes to go around. Last year, we had the problem of a log jam where guys were fighting for minutes and they ended up showcasing guys. So it's a lot of question marks there. But Kyle Kuzma is a vital piece. Kyle Kuzma he had a heck of a season. I thought he was the best player on the team last year. Pound for pound, I thought throughout the whole season, Porzingis was the best player for that last 15-game stretch. But I think the whole season body of work, Kyle Kuzma had the best season where he was able not to only score points, but he was able to rebound and impact the game in other ways and pass and get guys involved. I thought he did a great job of doing it, and he was clutch once again. He was super, super clutch. So Kyle Kuzma is definitely going to make north of $18 million after this year. To have him, he's 26 years old. To have him on a $13 million per year contract certainly is a steal. So I'm leaning towards keeping him rather than trading him. But I do understand the Wizards, if they want to maximize and get value for him before the contract comes up, if they're not able to afford him, since Bradley Beal most likely he's going to make $250 million and Porzingis is making $30 million. So there's some decisions you got to make there as far as Kyle Kuzma. But the question marks for me is his usage rate did go up when Bradley Beal got injured right before the trade deadline. How is he going to fit when Bradley Beal comes back and Porzingis comes back? Is his usage rate going to go down? Will his impact go down? Will he be forced into a 3-and-D role? Kind of like when he was with LeBron and Anthony Davis, where he was just a 3-and-D spot-up shooter, and he's more than that. I think he's way more talented, and he showcased that this year. I think Kyle Kuzma had a heck of a year. There was the month of February and March, if he played like that the whole season, he would have made the All-Star game, or he would have won the most improved player of the year. He definitely was in the running for that, and he did the Cherry Blossom poster, or him and Rui did that. So it is tough if they trade these guys. when they just did the promo with the cherry blossom jerseys. But all that, it doesn't matter. It's just about winning games and doing what's best for the franchise. So I would love to see Kyle Kuzma come back. I have talked about trade scenarios with him, but I would love to see him come back. I'm a Kyle Kuzma fan and supporter. I thought he had a great season. I thought he did a lot of good things on and off the court with the pink sweater as well. But before we do get to Bradley Beal and his Taylor Rooks interview, I'm just going to talk about 2 quotes here that I thought stood out. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all of the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so the quote that I got to pull this up here, but the quote that stood out that was circulating on social media, he had an interview, for context, he had an interview with Taylor Rooks, who is a reporter on Bleacher Report. So he sat down with an hour with her. They talked about Jason Tatum had a heartfelt message. Bradley Beal got emotional. They are basically like brothers. They're both from St. Louis. They went to the same high school, Chaminade, in St. Louis. So that went viral. But here's one quote that stood out to me that was circulated on Twitter. Some people got upset about that. She asked him, talking about free agents, people want Bradley Beal, but wouldn't it be easier if people were wanting to come to DC? I'm paraphrasing here there. But basically the simple question was, what makes Washington unattractive for free agents? That's what I got from the question from Taylor Rooks. And Bradley Beal said, it's tough to get free agents here, quote, here for whatever reason. That's kind of always been an Achilles heel here. So one thing with free agents, the question is, why is DC an unattractive place? Why don't people want to come to DC? The quick answer is, the Wizards haven't been really good. The one time the Wizards looked like an attractive destination for free agents was probably when John Wall hit the game winner against 2017 against the Celtics, and they were recruiting Kevin Durant really hard. They had the cap space available. Kevin Durant wouldn't even meet with the Wizards. That was just a gut punch. They hired Coach Adkins, who was a trainer for Kevin Durant. They moved the facility to Southeast. They hired Scott Brooks. I mean, they put the full court press on Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant did not even sit down and have a meeting with the Washington Wizards. They recruited Al Horford. Al Horford said no. He ended up going to the Celtics. One free agent that they did bring in, I guess this is a big name, but this guy was towards the end of his career, is Paul Pierce. I call a game with the shot off the backboard. To take it back even further, Gilbert Arenas decided to come to the Wizards through free agency, but he did a coin flip. That's the one reason why he came to the Wizards. He did a coin flip. And then Tommy Shepard was excited about bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie as a free agent acquisition. We saw how that worked out. So the premise and the notion that you build a team through attracting free agents is a flawed system, in my opinion. And it's not a knock on the Wizards. I know the front office hasn't done A+ job, and I know the Wizards haven't won a lot of games or been in the playoffs much ever since John Wall really got injured. So a lot of free agents, a lot of guys are recruiting Bradley Beal rather than Bradley Beal getting guys to come here. You look at other teams. You look at the Memphis Grizzlies. They're talking about the same thing. They're not going to get a big name free agent. They just had to draft well, and that's what the Wizards have to do. The Memphis Grizzlies, they drafted John Moran. They drafted Desmond Bane. They drafted Jaren Jackson. They drafted Zaire Williams has played well. They, like I said, Dylan Brooks. They've just had a lot of good draft picks, and that's the way the Wizards can get better. That's the only way they're going to get better. You even look at the Celtics. They didn't get a bunch of free agents. Jaylen Brown was the third pick of the draft. Jason Tatum was the third pick of the draft. Look at the Warriors. They didn't get a bunch of free agents. Steph Curry, they drafted him. Klay Thompson, they drafted him. They drafted Draymond Green in the second round. So the notion to think about attractive free agents, I think that's something that the Wizards, we're just going to have to get out of our heads. We're just going to have to build this team through the draft. And it is hard because you keep getting the 9th pick, the 10th pick, the 15th pick. So you're not really getting a franchise guy. So it is what you call basketball purgatory. You're kind of spinning your wheels. You're just in that middle spot. You're getting good players, but you're not getting franchise players. And the guys that they have drafted have been solid players, but they're nowhere near all-star players. Where you look with the Wizards when they had those the higher picks, John Wall was the first pick of the draft. Bradley Beal was the third pick of the draft. And guess what? That's when the Wizards hit their peak in the last decade. It wasn't by bringing in big-name free agents. Now, via trade as well is what Tommy Shepard has been good at. I think he's done a great job of trading, making trades for sure. But we're just not a team we're going to, hey, we're going to get a Kevin Durant. We're not like Miami. We're not like LA. Even though DC is a beautiful city, you got the political, you got the monument and the White House and all that stuff and the cherry blossoms, but it's not a warm climate city. It's not like a Los Angeles. It's not like a New York or Brooklyn. Even the Knicks don't get big name free agents, and they're a big time, big market, a lot of viewers, and the Knicks don't get big name free agents. So it's not just the Wizards. And you look at the Knicks too; they haven't been good either. They haven't made good free agent or front office decisions drafted. They haven't drafted well either. They haven't drafted. I think the Wizards have drafted better than the Knicks, but the Knicks, that just answered the question in a long answer. We got lucky with getting Gilbert Arenas. We got Paul Pierce. Those are really the only big name free agents that come to DC. And it's like that for a lot. Look at the Dallas Mavericks. They don't get big name free agents either. They had to draft a Luka Doncic, and look at where they are. You just have to draft well. And Ted says we will never ever tank. So you just have to really find a diamond in the rough, which is what the Wizards are saying. Another quote that stood out to me, Bradley Beal answered a question. He said, "My biggest fear is that I walk away from the game without giving myself a chance to win." He also said that there was one quote, I got to find this as well, where he says that he wants to win. His decision is going to be based on winning. He says, "I'm going to be where I feel I can win." He says, I know what my decision, quote, "I know what my decision will be based off of, and that's going to be where I feel like I can win. That's going to be my decision," end quote. He talked about his family as well. He is married, he has with Kamaya Adams Bill. He has 2 sons. He has another child on the way. So he has to think about his family as well. He also talked about, he said this on the Draymond Green podcast, that this is the first time that he is going through a legitimate free agency where he's not signing an extension. He does like that other teams want him, and he likes that the Wizards want him as well. It just shows that he feels like that's a great showing, and it's an honor that teams want him, and he is going to listen to other teams. He is going to go through that. So that is a scary situation for the Wizards. And when he does say he wants to go to a team where he wants to win, she asked him about the money as well. Talking about the money that he's going to get and winning. Going back to the Wizards, does that give him a situation where he's going to win a championship? That's a tough question there, where the ceiling, honestly, is a 6th seed. So those are some questions. Though that's where he's got to answer this all season. So he wants to go where he feel that I'm going to be where I feel I can win. So is that another team like the Miami Heat? Is that another team like the Portland Trailblazers? I think the Heat, if he goes to the Heat, he has a way better chance of winning because they just got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were one shot away from getting to the NBA Finals. So if he really says he wants to go to a place where he feels like he can win a championship, then it would not be with the Wizards, in all honesty. But he did say, whether it's the Wizards or not, I'm going to compete his butt off wherever he goes. So if they can work some magic, I think he's putting some pressure on Tommy Shepard to win now and make moves, which they would have to trade and bring in a point guard or a better player, or all-star caliber players or really good players around Bradley Beal. Or that, and honestly, in this scenario, I think the scenario that could happen is that Bradley Beal signs this deal, and then things don't work out this year, and then he could take a look and request a trade after this year. But all points are leaning that Bradley Beal is going to re-sign with the Washington Wizards. So what I took from the interview is basically what he said in all the interviews. He said he always says, "I want to go to a place where I'm going to win." Are the Wizards really the place where he can win a championship? Most likely not. Looking at the rest of the NBA, the Celtics are just a better team. The Heat are a better team. There's numerous teams that are just better than the Washington Wizards at the moment. But he's looking at that money, and it's a tough decision. He said, if you take a Twitter poll, 99% of people are going to take the money. So you take that answer for whatever it's worth. Man, that's what I took from the Taylor Rooks interview. Is basically what he said on every podcast is that, he loves being in DC. He wants to go where he's going to win. But of course, he's looking at that money as well. So, but you guys let me know what you guys think. I do have the Warriors winning again on Monday night. Steph Curry is incredible. Hit 7 threes, 43 points, 10 rebounds. I mean, he's just generational. He really changed the game of basketball. So you guys let me know what you guys think. I have the Warriors winning in 6. Of course, please submit your mailbag questions. The draft is coming up very, very soon. I can't wait. Should be a lot of fun. Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA, from the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the NBA Finals. Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. Hail to the Wizards.